We're 18 days into the strikes in Iran, and you know who is having trouble getting other countries on board. But he claims he's getting plenty of support here, and his VP explained his change of heart after making past statements against an attack. Take a look.
Given your past skepticism of foreign adventurism, are you completely on board with the current war in Iran?
I think that I know what you're trying to do, Phil. You're trying to drive a wedge between members of the administration, between me and the president. What the president said consistently, going back to 2015, and I agreed with him, is that Iran should not have a nuclear weapon. One big difference, Phil, is that we have a smart president, whereas in the past we've had dumb presidents. And I trust President Trump to get the job done, to do a good job for the American people, and to make sure that the mistakes of the past aren't repeated.
I spoke to one of the former presidents who I actually like. I actually speak to some. I do like some people, be shocking. And he said, I wish I did what you did.
Oh, boy. He's a joke.
So I'm just going to say, aides who served under all 4 living presidents said it wasn't them. Now, are we any closer to finding out what the plan is here?
But may I read the definition of a hallucination?
Okay.
Because that's what he's having. Not one of these presidents said that they spoke to him.
Right.
So who's he talking? It's like Nixon. Nixon used to talk to portraits of Jefferson and other presidents.
In the White House.
In the
yeah.
White House. Remember that? Also, not that well. So it's a sensory perception, such as a visual image or a sound. I guess he saw, you know, Obama somewhere, that occurs in the absence of an actual external stimulus and usually arises from neurological disturbance or in response to drugs. That is the definition of a hallucination, which I think he's having.
But
that's all I have to
you
say.
know, this is actually fairly typical of him. He'll say, many people say,
Yeah.
or all of these people support me. Whenever he's vague, I think it reflects that
But
he's
this is
feeling
different. He
this
said,
is
I
different.
spoke to a particular
Right.
president
Yeah,
who
but
told
he didn't name
me
a name.
he wished
also
he
didn't
would have
name
done
a
that.
name.
Not a hallucination. It's something we all know very well. It's called a lie.
Yeah.
He also said
Yeah.
he won an election he didn't win when all proof to the contrary. So I don't think a hallucination, that's very colorful and fun to experience, but I think this was just a lie.
that can be completely, identified as a lie.
But they all can. That's the crazy thing.
But all the presidents have been asked the question, and they all said no.
Yeah.
I think,
it's
to me, the more
So scary.
Yeah.
sad thing about this is calling former presidents stupid is terrible. It's inexcusable. Whatever you think of a former president, none of them are stupid. I think
Well,
later
I beg to differ on that
in the
I beg to
discussion,
differ.
Well, you can disagree with
Yeah,
that, but
you
I
can
don't think we've
disagree
had
with them.
presidents
None of them
that
are
are
stupid.
downright
Yeah, they are. Some of them have been.
mistaken perhaps.
Yeah. I dated all of them, so I know.
Defining your political opponents as stupid and evil is
Yeah.
worse. I mean, demonization of political opponents is nothing new. I can remember running for president, plenty of people demonize me. Of course, it's different when a president does it, but I do think this constant commentary about people you disagree with being evil, stupid, it drags us all down.
But that's what he does. Look what he said
But
about
we
you.
don't have
He
to
was
do it.
nasty to you.
Of course he was. He was nasty to loads of people, but we don't have to
It's
be
what
nasty
Ken Burns
to
said
each
the
other.
other day.
We don't
though.
have
It's
to be
that
nasty.
when everyone starts to have an us and them, it's the other. And what was the saying Ken Burns said about, he was speaking about the American Revolution.
Yes. Yeah.
And he was speaking about the danger is when you start to categorize something as other, it becomes the common enemy, and there was only ever us. That's what he said.
That's right.
There was only ever us.
Well, and
People
Trump
have
is very
always
good
said
at
us and them.
otherizing people. I mean, that's one of his tactics. That's what he likes to divide people because, you know, standing alone we can thrive, but together, standing alone we only survive, but together we thrive. And he gets afraid of the American people uniting, and so he's the great divider in chief, I think. But what is most concerning to me about this is the fact that he now thinks after being so disrespectful to our allies that they should get him out of this war that he started without their permission. And now he seems to understand now what NATO is about, why allyship is so very important, because I don't think he had a plan, Whoopi, to get out of this war. I've said it, it's very easy to get into a war. It's very difficult to get out of a war. And so what I don't think he considered was this Strait of Hormuz and how a lot of the ships go through there and a lot of our oil exports go in there, through there. Now, only about 7% of U.S. crude oil goes through there, but it's going to affect globally because geopolitics is a thing. The United States should not be an island unto itself. It should have these allies. And now the allies are saying, you know what? Not my circus, not my clown, not my circus. I'm not interested in getting involved.
And it was totally predictable the strait would be closed.
They knew. People told him.
Yes.
He said, no, we're so shocked. We didn't know. But that's BS. You did know. There were people who told you the implications if you went and did that.
Maybe it was the president he spoke to?
Well, and if he
Actually, it was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs.
Yes.
It was chairman of the Joint Chiefs. It was the
Told him,
CIA.
don't do
Anyone
this.
who knows
So
history
he now
knows
is at
they
the
will.
point where he has threatened to invade or take over Greenland, Canada, Mexico, Venezuela,
Cuba
the Gaza
now.
Strip, and now Cuba.
Yeah, now Cuba.
It reminds me of somebody, I can't remember his name, who said, today Europe, tomorrow the world. Who said that? Let me think.
Yeah, but you know what? If you also studied history, you could learn a lot from President George H. Bush when he talked about Iraq and the fears of going in there. He talked a lot about potentially leaving American soldiers in hostile territory. This isn't the same as just any country. This area is extremely hostile. You also look at one of the reasons he quoted was a loss of allies. You know, he was worried about taking this step and what it could lose. It was the exit plan. It was the regime change. So if you studied this, we've been here before. You can compare these situations to a certain extent. And so I also think when you're in a debate and you call someone dumb, any debate coach or teacher will tell you you just lost because you couldn't win. If that's where you're turning when you're arguing,
Yeah, but
you've
he
lost.
doesn't lose. He keeps calling everybody all sorts of names, and his base stays right with him. His VP Vance and all of those other acolytes that just kiss his butt are still there for him.
Except,
no matter what he
except
says
that
and
today,
does.
the head of the counterterrorism center resigned.
Yeah, they
He was a
resigned, but
MAGA
what does
guy
that do?
who said the intelligence doesn't support that this was an imminent threat. But now the president, whether you agree with the
was never an
decision to
imminent
get
threat.
it in, he is at a fork in the road. And I think that's why he's feeling the pressure. Because on one fork, you go further. You actually go in to get the nuclear weapons. Nuclear material, you open the Strait of Hormuz, you destroy the Iranian regime's will to resist, which they clearly still have, or you pull back and you declare victory. And both paths have real risk.
But that's
There's
why you
real
don't-
risk in continuing forward.
Well, that's
That's
There's
why you
real
don't
risk
start
in
an
declaring
illegal and
victory and getting it out.
unconstitutional war. That's
So-
why you don't start an illegal and unconstitutional war without any support from allies.
You know,
That's
it
why you
just-
don't do it.
It's what he does, and the thing that bothers me more than anything is he seems to forget. You know, he says we could have gotten out. I could have gotten us out. You know, think about this. All the people who volunteered for our armed services. He's basically saying, I could stop all this, but I'm going to let it go on.
Yeah.
Your kids are not there fighting.
That's right.
Your kids are not on the line. So I don't know if you really want to alienate people this way because you're basically saying their kids don't matter.